Chapter 9: Accelerated Development. An unassuming and simple door was all that hid the location of the cyclotron, a 5-meter diameter particle accelerator, from the main laboratory. Behind the door, a test chamber allowed a sample to be placed in the path of charged particles that had been accelerated outwards from the center of a flat cylindrical vacuum chamber held to a spiral trajectory by a static magnetic field. The magnetic fields consumed large amounts of energy in both their creation and maintenance. Naturally occurring uranium doesn't have enough of the fissile isotope U-235 to set off a nuclear reaction. To that end, the original purpose of the cyclotron had been the enrichment of what little natural uranium the teams were finding for use in either their prototype reactor, or perhaps even a weapon, even though initial calculations showed that tons were needed rather than kilograms. What the Nazi overlords did not know was the requirements for a weapon had been calculated incorrectly, either by intention or incompetence. Sufficient material already existed to create a functional weapon, albeit a tactical weapon rather than a strategic one. When this new substance had been discovered on a Greek island and the scale of its capabilities inferred from initial measurements, the remote possibility that it was some form of mythological super-weapon had overwhelmed many of whom had received the notification of its discovery. Now Dr. Marlberg would establish if there was any value or truth to the rapidly developing rumors. "Heinrich, is the sample ready?" "Yes, Dr. Marlberg, ready to commence the testing," replied Heinrich. As Heinrich replied, Dr. Marlberg quickly followed up with a less scientific question. "What do you think we should call it, Heinrich?" Heinrich paused to consider the question. He had in fact spent some time, over the last few hours, waiting for its arrival. On the subject of a name, the substance simply wasn't good enough. "What about perithium?" "After the island of its discovery, Perithnos." "Perithium?" mused Dr. Marlberg. "What about Marlbergium?" Desperate for such a narcissistic to not be picked, Heinrich thought on his feet. "Yes, sir, that would be a good name, but I feel it may detract from the efforts of the science teams that have been working ceaselessly for years to find such a substance." "Excellent as always, Heinrich, you never fail me. Perithium it is." With the name decided, the only thing left to do was to carry out the actual test. "Has the cyclotron been engaged?" "Yes, sir, I ensured it was started as soon as you told me of your intentions." "Excellent, well done, Heinrich. We shall soon know what it is exactly we are dealing with." With the sample inserted and the chamber door closed, they both moved to a shielded control room and waited for Heinrich to press the release button, unleashing the unbelievable amounts of energy being held captive by the magnetic fields of the cyclotron, loose on the unsuspecting sample. "Fire!" was all Dr. Marlberg needed to say. Heinrich uttered a single word in the form of a reply, "Copy," and pressed the button. In only a few tenths of a second, the stream of highly energized particles started to interact with the perithium. A dull glow was all that could be seen at first as the neutrons were being split from their atoms. Each neutron had a high probability of repeating the process. A chain reaction was imminent. As the power meters started to climb, Dr. Marlberg began to hope. "It's working, Heinrich. It looks like this really might be a substitute for uranium." Heinrich had no opportunity to reply before the uncontrolled reactions overwhelmed them both. The first they knew was the sample door being expelled at high speed from the chamber before bouncing off their shelter. Automatic sensors had been tripped, and the particle stream closed. Dr. Marlberg looked at Heinrich across a smoke-filled laboratory. "It appears we have a winner, Heinrich." Heinrich peeked above what was left of their shelter. "Yes, sir, it appears we do. We were very lucky." "Yes, we were," replied Dr. Marlberg. "Let's repair the chamber and repeat the test, but first I think we need to try and enrich the perithium." Heinrich couldn't quite believe what he was hearing. "Are you sure, sir? It appears to be very energetic in its raw form." "Precisely," replied Dr. Marlberg, a broad smile spreading across his face. "Let's see what it's truly capable of."